Hello, everyone. Welcome to Studio Sessions. I am Aashish Arora, an interactive designer with the Globe Content Studio. Here on Studio Sessions, we delve into the minds of trend makers who have fascinating insights about content, marketing, and design. Today, we have a very special guest, Michael Dobell, the Chief Innovation Officer of Jam3, a leading global design and experience agency. With their groundbreaking work in AI and design, Jam3 has caught my attention lately, and I am not the only one. So it's a pleasure to have Michael here to discuss the future of AI and design. Welcome, Michael.
Thanks very much. It's great to be
So,
here.
Michael, great. So let's start with the first question. These days, everyone is talking about AI. So let's start by level setting. What are we typically talking about when we refer to AI in the design world? What capabilities through which programs?
Yeah, definitely. Well, there's a lot of noise. And so sort of separating the noise from the real tools and the real applications can be a bit tricky. What we're seeing in our space certainly is some really amazing and helpful tools, things that we sort of categorize into about 6 different categories. So we have productivity and strategy tools. That's everything from working with the large language models like ChatGPT and Bard, and of course GitHub's Copilot from our development side. There's video tools like Synesthesia and Gen2, voice tools, as well as imagery tools, of course, Adobe Firefly, Midjourney, which I'm sure everyone's had a bit of a play with, and tools from NVIDIA, Stable Diffusion, that sort of thing. And then, of course, copywriting is goes hand in hand with the design process and the creative process generally. And there's a host of tools there. And not to ignore the business side of design as well. You know, there's tools on the legal side as well that are coming into play. Harvey being one of them. So, I mean, there's tools for every practitioner, and I think really that's one of the interesting things about where we sort of see this going is that in the very near future, we're all going to have a copilot, regardless of our profession, and that's going to be a copilot that provides us with access to knowledge and information, as well as creating ease in some of the drudge work that we once had to do. So, yeah, there's a tool for every practice and sub-practice as well. I think many people have seen and shared the infographics of the funded AI startups presently. I think it was 17,000 I saw at last count. So there's a lot of things going on.
Yeah, I really like that you described it as a co-pilot, and because a lot of people these days, are worried that, especially in the media, they see that people are going to lose their jobs, and we are seeing so many, like, if you open Twitter, you can see like every single day they're like this, especially in design, there's so many tools coming out. A lot of them are very still at very early stages. They're experimentative, but they're doing like the smallest things, like removing a background and like changing voiceovers and stuff like that. So it's great. I really like the answer, like how you kind of talked about the main tools that are like being used in the industry. So moving on, a lot of designers are getting nervous that AI is going to replace them instead of assist them, like become a co-pilot. What skills should designers focus on so they can embrace AI effectively?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think the process of design is solving a problem, right? So, and that requires attributes like curiosity and inquiry. It means asking great questions of your client to start. What business problem are you trying to solve with design? And then translating that into a visual outcome. Now, so maintaining and improving those tools of communication and inquiry are critical to come up with novel solutions for your clients and for yourself as well. I mean, we will all work in this space because of the desire to create the novel and new, and it's very, very important to be able to do that. I think these tools give us a really interesting starting point. Some people may use ChatGPT to tell them what's already been done. The answers the ChatGPT might provide you with is like already covered ground, so maybe I will go elsewhere. But for other people and for other problems, that might provide a really wonderful starting point, even to battle like that blank canvas moment where you don't really know where to
Right.
start. These tools can provide a great starting point or a good kick in the rear to get going in an interesting
Right.
direction.
Yeah, I'm definitely hearing a lot from designers like that. We don't really have to like start from a clean slate anymore. It really like AI tools that are available today, like Midjourney, helps a lot with like concepting. It helps a lot with composition. It's been a great tool for like sort of pre getting to like the visual part, designing it yourself part. So it definitely helps. Been helping designers a lot in that area for sure. My next question would be, as AI becomes more prevalent, and there have been a lot of ethical debate to where AI is getting its data from. So as it becomes more prevalent in design, how can we ensure ethical and responsible use of AI in our design practices?
Yeah, so I think certainly working with leadership to develop good policy is really important, and I think that's one of the things that our team's done a particularly good job of is illustrating the AI tools for general use, which ones to use, and in which cases. So, for example, some tools are great for ideation and maybe storyboarding, for example, but certainly not ready for final output. So
Right.
getting that knowledge within the design teams, making sure that you have good policy in place, that you know the tools well, and are applying them according to that policy is really important. Now, I mean, I'm speaking about that from a company that's now close to 9,000 people. So, there's that's the approach of a large organization. For smaller design teams, I think it's getting to know those tools. It's using it's less about policy making and more about developing consensus amongst the team about how to approach that, and in most cases easing towards the tools that are known to be safe. Adobe Firefly, for example,
Right.
that is a big part of their go-to-market proposition is the safety and the
Right.
usability within the commercial space. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's very important, especially for larger organizations, to think like how they want to move forward, because like this is the future, like you can call it the present as well. AI tools are here to stay, but yeah, it's very important for companies to think how they want to really use it.
Yeah,
Let me
and I
ask a
think
fun.
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, no, go ahead.
I think there's some very hazy areas as well that are
Right.
worth thinking about. Like so, the in the voice or the synthetic voice space, or like tools like synesthesia and descriptor are like allow you to record a voice talent and then to mimic
Right.
that voice talent. And there's terms and conditions for the talent that you record, but I think it's important for us to think about whether or not we want to do that,
Right.
because effectively you are going to replace a person in doing that. So there's some real consideration there
Right.
about how you embark on things like that, and I think it is a designer's responsibility to do that. I mean, it's it's not just lawyers who get to write terms and conditions. It's also us who are trying to design a better world to decide how we want to apply these tools to our profession and to the world at large. So
Yeah, I guess it's same with the illustrations as well. Like being Midjourney being here, like a lot of illustrations are super worried about what's next for them, and
yep.
yeah, it's again like it's a designer's responsibility and company's responsibility to make sure you're still using like talent that is out there. I just wanted to add a fun question here. What's your favorite AI tool?
Oh, I mean, I'm using an in-house tool, which is a version of ChatGPT 4,
Oh,
which is called Monk GPT, which is
right,
our guardrailed version of ChatGPT, which is allows us to use it in ways you wouldn't normally. It's a little more protective of confidential information and that sort of thing. I also have an amazing homespun tool, or module on top of a large language model as well, which is called DocBot. We can upload PDFs to, and then query those PDFs, interview those PDFs, and it's got some very clever pre-suggested queries. So it's quite a helpful tool for taking large bits of disorganized information and helping you to distill them into a brief format, and understand where to go from there. So that's really very cool. I mean, I have a warm place in my heart for all Adobe products. Just I've been using them for 20 odd years here, less so recently as a practitioner, but the Adobe Firefly product is wonderfully thought through, and is really great to see. So where they're going with that,
yeah, I need to get on Firefly. I've tried a little bit, but I've been hearing really good things about it. Yeah, that's gonna be my next tool for sure. My next question. Yeah, no, go ahead.
Yeah, we've done this a couple times, but maybe this bit will get edited out. I was going to add that I think one of the really exciting things is just the way that we chain together these different tools, such that we can go from disorganized brain dump information to brief, to insight, to design brief, to initial compositions, to final compositions and approval processes, through to versioning of our design outputs with automation along the way. I think the fun part, at least as a design practitioners will tell you, is that it is not all of that flow. It is discrete chunks of it, and we have the ability to automate and move faster and to deliver larger quantities of versioning, and deeper personalization of our design work to the market over time. And I think that's actually a really interesting place to play.
Right. Yeah, that's a very important insight. Thanks for that. I will move on to my next question. Inclusivity and diversity has been very important part of our design solutions, design process, so that we're designing for everyone. How can designers collaborate with AI systems to create more inclusive and diverse design solutions?
Yeah, well, I mean, we've probably seen the missteps of early applications of fictional talent. Levi's was trying to create additional diversity in their models by using synthetic talent or fictional talent, which seems well-intentioned, but ultimately is removing jobs from that group of people. So it had the opposite intended effect and got well-deserved backlash, and feedback, and I think that's become like a very good thing to have happened early on, because it's raised really good awareness about how to approach this stuff and to start talking about bias within the systems. So, I mean, all human bias exists in the technologies that we build, whether it's a database or an SAT survey or a large language model. The biases of our authors, the authors of that, are going to exist in there, and it's incumbent upon the user groups and the test groups to feedback and try to eliminate those biases. I think one of my favorite side projects right now is researching the cognitive bias codex, because bias exists in so many different ways and impacts our behavior in ways that we are only just starting to talk about. And
Right.
whether or not it's in groups and out groups, whether it's preserving our group dynamic when we're afraid of making decisions, all of these things make their way into the things that we design. And it's our job as designers to work through that stuff and create great products that are usable for
Yes.
everybody. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like we hopefully would go in like a good direction when it comes to inclusivity. Like we can really leverage AI in this field for sure. With the increasing role of AI in design, how do you see the relationship between human designers and AI evolving in the future?
Yeah, I think it's going to become another tool in our toolbox, a
Right.
crazy powerful tool in our toolbox,
Powerful tool.
and
Yeah.
we'll see. I think today it's already really obvious that the time-consuming, frustrating parts of the design process, think rotoscoping and outpainting. I mean,
Right.
that's all solved. That's that's a thing that I remember doing, and rotoscoping hair, frizzy hair, out of a piece of video was an awful way to spend the day. And that is automated now, and that we can now get onto the good stuff. So that's one chunk. Um, Emerging is things like automated UXing. Um, and so it's setting up your files. It's getting you ready to
Right.
start designing getting your interfaces designed into an existing UX structure. So that's really exciting, and again gets you into the good stuff. I think providing you with good points of reference, that'll be another great space. So designers spend a ton of time on Dribble and looking at what other designers are doing. I think that process of inspiration discovery
Right.
will also be greatly assisted as well.
Yeah, I think like in my own design process, it has been like a big change when for inspiration discovery when I'm looking for to create a
Yeah,
new design. It's so much easier rather than going to 20, 30 different websites and going through people's portfolios, finding projects, just using like AI. It's not quite there yet, but it also gives you a better starting point at least to start your process and start designing faster in a way as
yeah.
well.
Yeah, I think a really good framework for thinking about how AI will impact the design community is now, near, and next. And I think a lot of the worries that people have around, for example, job loss or being replaced, are in the maybe in the next category. Um,
Right.
but and tools like inspiration discovery are in the near category, and then in the now category we've got these very useful advances. um, I think where the real opportunity lies and where AI will have a very expansive quality on our space is going to be the emerging necessity to deliver greatly more design product
Right.
to meet the needs of and emerging expectations around deep personalization. And with generative AI, it's now possible to get hyper personal with the content that we're
Right.
creating, whereas it was just impractical before. We might have known what we could hyper personalize to, but
Right.
the costs for a marketer, for example, is just far too high to actually
Right.
meet those needs. And so I think we'll be delivering vastly more content and deeper personalization. I think that's going to have a really expansive quality on our industry. I think it means growth.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like I'm really excited for the time when everyone is seeing similar but really different design content, just with the help of AI. That'll be great. And also, like in tools as well. Like I feel like that's the one part people talk less about is how tools can become more personalized for designers or for other people tools like Figma or Webflow. Like Webflow just integrated their AI where you can search your problem and it'll tell you how to use it. Because just learning a software is like such a big thing, especially with the design softwares that are super complicated. It's solving a great problem there as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Moving on to more of a user experience question, because UX is a big industry and design systems have become a crucial component in the industry. And how can AI contribute to the development and maintenance of design systems?
Yeah. Well, where do design systems live? They tend to end up dying inside of a digital asset manager, right, or a DAM. I think this is a huge opportunity. So, the language models are allowing much more acute search, much more precise search, and I think taking our design systems and building them in such a way that they live inside of a very usable DAM that can distribute those design systems to all of the various global users that might work with it is a huge opportunity for improvement. Also, the automated assembly of those design systems into various assets is going to be really enabling, especially when you think about like the role of a global design system team and then maybe local market versioning, providing the ability for those things to be automated and not messed up, which is often the case. You hear that many brand teams or brand leaders feel like they experience the worst of both worlds. They have no budget globally. The local markets hold all the budgets. They can't retain the adherence to the brand globally because the local markets diverge from the brand standards. But they also don't have enough. The local markets also aren't able to drive enough personalization just because of their limited number of people in each local market. So I think with AI, with synthetic production, we can build design systems. We can create pipelines that allow the local markets to get to adhere to brand and also to distribute at that level of pinpoint localization that is super exciting. And I think it's going to take that's kind of like that self-driving social organization that's really exciting for the near future.
Right. Yeah, it'll be so much easier for us designers to find files and stuff with a machine learning system. That'll be great.
Yeah.
Moving on to my last question. 3D has always been around. It's been in animation, but it's not easy to do. It requires a lot of people. It requires a lot of great talent to create like great 3D. But recently, because of the new softwares, it's more accessible. A lot now. It has become a crucial part of brand design as well because of like these newer web-based softwares. So how is AI shaping the future of 3D design? Are there any specific advancements or applications people should be aware of?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think Runway is doing, like, Runway as a tool is a really important one to be paying attention to. What you can do with video input and some text description and it translating that into a 3D animated format is mind-blowing. It really is. And the speed of that improvement is really wild. I think that's worth keeping an eye on.
Nice. That was the end of my questions. Michael, is there anything else you'd like to add? Anything you want people to check it out, or anything? Just want to give maybe a last message.
Yeah, I would recommend everyone to sort of pay attention to some of the announcements that'll be happening from our company at Cannes this year. We'll be showing up at the Festival for Creativity, so that's definitely worth checking out.
Excited.
There'll be talks from all kinds of smart people
Yes.
there, and yeah, they're definitely worth checking out.
Great. Thank you for joining us on Studio Sessions today, Michael. We learned a lot from you. Thank you again. We're planning on one more show about media strategy before we wrap up this season. Be sure to follow Global Content Studio. Be sure to follow Jan3 for conversations, content, and insights just like this one. Thanks for joining us today. Have a great day, everyone. Bye.
And thanks for having me.